Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
So in previous sessions, what we have seen about Azure repos, right? Are there any doubts in Azure repos? So from today, we will be talking about the CI/CD. Okay.
Okay, Chief. Oh, and let me just ping Chief. Vijay might be might have forgotten that there is class today. Just let me ping in the group
Sure,
once.
sure. Yeah. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, Chief.
Okay. Thanks. So in previous sessions, we have seen all about the repository, right? Now we'll to fulfill that end-to-end project lifecycle. Next, we'll start with the CI/CD. So what is CI/CD? How we can connect with our CI/CD pipelines to till now what are we discussed Azure boards and Azure repos. So how to connect these two with the pipelines, basically, right? CI/CD is nothing but a pipeline. We'll talk about that for next couple of sessions. This third session. Continuous integration using Azure build pipeline. See, most of the times, DevOps is nothing but efficiently creating a pipeline, CI and CD pipelines. CI is nothing but continuous integration, and CD stands for continuous delivery or deployment. What exactly the CI pipeline? That's what we are going to focus in for uh, for 1 or 2 sessions. Then we will move to the CD pipeline. Okay. So what exactly is pipeline, right? CI pipeline. So whenever we build a pipeline, right, there will be a multiple steps, and each step is going to perform a particular task. So those tasks can be a build task, right? When the or it can be a test task, or it can be a scanning, basically, right? For vulnerabilities or security releases, static code analysis. It can be a licensing security, all those things. These are going to be different tasks before it is going to deploy into any environment. It can be a dev environment or QA or staging production. This is going to be CD. We'll talk about that later. Moving the code from or the objects, basically, right? Uh, Moving from one particular environment to other environment is the job of CD pipeline. Okay. Now, in this session, we are going to focus mainly on the CI pipeline only, not on the CD pipeline. So what we are going to do, the build and testing and performing few operations, right? So we'll see how much hour is possible in today's session, but we'll see this practically. So what exactly the Azure pipeline? Azure pipeline is a cloud service. It is right. Azure pipeline is a service, simple, which will automatically build, test, and deploy. So build and test are going to be part of your CI pipeline, and deploy is going to be your CD pipeline. And it is a fully featured continuous integration and CD delivery service. So why are we calling it as continuous? Because we want automatically the steps to be performed as soon as a developer checks in his code, or as soon as he creates a pull request. As soon as the pull request completes, automatically go and build and then deploy to the respective environments, whichever it is. This is continuous process. If you remember the DevOps lifecycle, right? It's an infinite continuous process, right? So some branch will configure that. If you remember the default branch and all, that's what we are going to use it. Before you use continuous integration, continuous practices for your application, you must have your source code in any version control system. If you want to integrate your CI pipeline or CD pipeline, it has to be in the version control system. Which kind of? Any GitHub Enterprise, Azure Repos, or TFVC, or Bitbucket, any version control system for that matter, because it is not going to be fixed. It will completely varies between the company to company based on their requirement, budget, many factors. Again, for that, right? First, we have to somehow ensure that the code has to be in the version control system. That is important, or that is kind of input for your CI pipeline. And you can automate the build, testing, and deployment, whatever it is, right? And another important thing here is the deployment can be to Microsoft, or it can be a GCP, or it can be AWS or on-premises. If you have something which is configured or which you have to deploy into on-premises, physical or virtual machines, basically, right? In any of these environments or platforms, we can deploy our code using our CI pipeline. And another important thing is the pipeline is really, for the pipeline, it really doesn't matter in which language your code is. It can be a Python, it can be Java, it can be JavaScript, PHP, Ruby, C, C++, and C Sharp or Go. Any language, right? For that matter, it can be utilized. We can use. The pipeline remains same. It is completely independent of your what is it, language, right? So I'll show you that there are templates for each language, how to use that. And Azure pipelines, or you can basically use your pipelines to deploy into multiple targets. What are the different targets? It can be a virtual machines, it can be containers, right? I can create a Docker container and I can move that Docker container to register. Or it can be Azure services, right? Or it can be a virtual machine, right? Or there are so many Azure services. We will deploy to Azure DevOps and virtual machines also. And then if you have any on-premises or a kind of open stack, right? You can deploy there also. So again, different types of environments, it can be deployed. No issues. Basically, the hosting platform. So you can deploy your application to any of these platforms, right? So whatever is the destination, you can just put your application into these pipelines. So automatically those things will be deployed into the respective pipelines. So, and to produce the package that can be consumed by others, let's say, uh, basically the sharing the packages. If you know Java, right? So if you compile your Java, you will get a class libraries, right? So those class libraries can be deployed into multiple platforms. So you can move basically those packages into if it is a Java means NGet or NPM, your JavaScript, or Maven is for Java, like that, right? You can publish these packages into the built-in package management repository in Azure Pipelines. I'll show you all these things practically, don't worry. Okay. Basically, we're talking about Azure artifacts here, where you can publish all these packages and share it. Basically, the central library, you can say. Okay.
I mean, whatever the development guys share us, we
Let's
just need
say,
to put them in pipeline.
yeah, let's say you have some libraries which are required for others to refer. Okay. Basically, compilers example, you can say. So in that case, where will they refer? So you can publish these artifacts or the libraries into some place so that others can utilize those packages. Okay. Basically, libraries, you can say, most of the time.
So what will be the difference between the libraries and the repository then? Because in repository also we'll store everything, right? So is this something which is after compiled or yeah, I mean ready to deploy kind of files, or what kind of thing will we
If you
have here?
remember, we were talking about .git ignore file, right? What is the use of .git ignore file? Hope you remember.
Yeah, we ignore the unnecessary. I mean, the files which are too many or
Right.
which are not required
Not required,
yes,
or which
in our
are
development
generating every time when you build it.
every time. Yes.
So as part of that, we have ignored two things. One is bin and obj folders.
Yes, yeah. Object and bin file which created. Yeah.
So why are we not including in your version control system? Because it is not going to be worth first thing. Because you have a source code, anytime you can build it. And the size of these objects may be huge. Okay. And every time when assume you have 100 developers or 500 developers, when you upload your objects into version control system, that will unnecessarily take lot of memory space basically to many developers, which is not required at all, which is zero value for them. So that is the reason it is 100% highly recommended that the objects are not supposed to be part of your version control system. But what happens if other developers or other people, basically the project members, who wants to refer those objects? So for that, there is something called artifactory system, where we will publish our objects, artifacts. Okay. So both are two different things. Your concept is
Yeah,
same.
yeah,
Version
but pushing.
controlling is okay. Version
Yes,
controlling
yes,
is same.
pushing these files into some location like library so that
Exactly.
it can
Where
be
they
used
can
for
refer. And
references.
if you want to
Yeah.
refer in your build time, you cannot go and refer in your, what do you say, version control
Uh, re-
system. You have to
yes,
check out.
repos. Yes, yes,
You have
yes.
to clone, which is not required at all every time. For 1,000
Yes.
developers, 1,000 times it is required? No.
No.
So that's why you save it into the artifactory system so that every developer or dependent person can go and refer the objects from the location where you have saved it. So that's where we have your Azure artifacts also, one of the feature. Okay.
Yes, yeah, got it.
Okay. So in the CI pipeline, the input for the CI pipeline is going to be your repos, right? It can be a GitHub, Bitbucket, whichever it is. So in our case, it is Azure repos, source basically, your wherever the code is. What is important here is we need to understand few terms. It can be CI or CD, right? Why are we calling it as pipeline? If you see, this is like your water pipeline, right? Water is going in a single, basically the stages, it can be deviation like this. So that is what there are few terminologies basically. A pipeline defines the continuous integration and deployment process for the apps, right? So we will understand more when you do it practically, what is stages and all, right? There will be a single stage pipeline and multi-stage pipeline. Basically, what stage is nothing but uh, it's a combination of tasks basically, right? Or steps you can say. And the task uh, can be to build or test or scan or whatever it is, right? Some script. It can be any task. Say making directory is one task, right? So basically, to define the workflow, it can be thought of as a workflow, right? So this is nothing but a pipeline, right? Our code is going to flow in this pipeline. First, it will build. It will be source code will be here. It will flow from your version control system to your build, then build to test, then test. What format? Forget about it. It can be different format here. It can be different. It can be different, but your code is going ultimately, right? So the pipeline runs when you submit code changes. So when you submit code changes here, automatically the pipeline will get. You can configure the pipelines to run automatically, or you can run it manually. It is optional. We'll cover both, how to run manually and how to cover automatically, and in which scenarios you have to use what. Okay. Right. Different things, because automatically, because I don't want to sit midnight 12 o'clock, maybe development team will be working at till 12 o'clock. That doesn't mean the DevOps engineer has to sit there. I can schedule it, run it at 12 o'clock and send a notification. Boss, you have to complete your check-ins or commits, all the work completed by 12 o'clock, irrespective of whether you are you're going to commit or not, I'm going to start the build. So kind of trigger. Okay. There are multiple scenarios. I'll cover all those scenarios. Don't worry. Okay. That is the pipeline basically. What this pipeline is going to do, every time you execute a pipeline, right? The executed instance is called as run, right? A run represents one execution of a pipeline, right? So that is the run basically. Then what is trigger? Simple, just to yeah, the pipeline has to be triggered basically. So it can be an automatic trigger or manual trigger. So we can define based on the requirement. And we have agent, which is important. So what is the agent? If you want to run, there are steps, right? Build step, test step. Where are the steps going to execute? You need some computer, right? It can be your laptop, it can be mission basically, right? To execute this. So that mission is nothing but it's called agent. Again, there are two types of agents. One is Microsoft hosted agent. Just to simplify, agent is a software which is listening to the instructions which are coming from these tasks and executing in that system, right? That is nothing but an agent. There are two types, right? As I told you, one is self-hosted agent, another one is Microsoft hosted agent. So we'll talk about that. What is self-hosted and what is Microsoft hosted? So Microsoft hosted agents are nothing but which will be available readily to use, or just select the pipeline and say that, okay, go and run in this pipeline. Let's say CentOS or Windows or Ubuntu, whichever it is, or any system. I'll show you where and how, right? So that is nothing but a agent. Basically, agent is nothing but a system which is used to execute all your tasks, right?
So is it a plugin kind of thing?
A plugin kind of, no. Yeah, you can say one kind of plugin only. Again, if you want to execute that plugin, you need some system, right? That system is nothing but agent.
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, the process of all these things, right, are going to generate some artifacts. That is nothing but a build artifact. There are two things, Azure artifacts and build artifacts. Both are two different things. Just now we were talking about, did I open this? Yeah, right. Libraries and all we were talking, right? If you remember, that is storing those artifacts into some place is nothing but build Azure artifacts. What is this? This one. You'll see this. This is Azure artifacts, which is a complete pure library, right? There are feeds which you can. I'll talk about this when we talk maybe after pipelines, right? Connecting to feed, how to feed, all those things. Okay. But whereas the build artifacts are different. If you remember, as part of our demo application, we have generated a DLL, a EXE. Those are nothing but a build artifacts, right? A Java data application package into a .jar or .zip file. That is one, right? So this is the build artifact. And what are the benefits? Integration provides many benefits to this. What are those things? Improving code quality. Why? If you see here, before it is going to the any environment we are building, we are testing it here. Assume it has failed here. Immediately, as soon as it has failed, I'll mark it as failed. So then the developer can immediately fix that before it goes to the any testing environment. So that's how the improving code quality, right? Triggering automated testing for every code change. As soon as some check can happen, trigger automatically. Reducing build times. because I'm not involving anything here manually. I'm not doing any manual work, right? And rapid feedback is provided. What is the advantage? Early detection of problems. See here, testing is done. Assume some issue is found here, immediately report it. So we are identifying early here. Assume this may take some time, the deployment only 1 day. I don't want to wait for 1 day. The overnight itself, I'll know the feedback of this, whether it is completed or successful, right? If it is completely successful, excuse me, as soon as, I mean, if it is satisfied, then only go and deploy. That is what, right? Reducing long, difficult, and maybe long waiting time, right? Increasing the confidence in code base, because what we are doing here, testing in multiple phases. Are we doing anything manually? No, everything is automated. So you will have a lot of filters basically, right? Each filter will be thoroughly tested. So you have multiple ways of testing this and tested, and once it is tested completely, then only we are pushing it to the next levels basically, right? Multiple places it is getting tested. That is what, right? Will that has the same? Is it clear? That is CI. So DevOps, what is DevOps? Now we'll understand a little bit of what is build process, right? So we are going to use this application. I have listed here the steps also, how to create a web application, right? So in this class, I'm going to take an example of .NET. So what is the difference? If it is other language, there is no difference. Only the package will change, right? If it is .NET, every language will have some packaging, right? So instead of using here, maybe if I want to do the build, .NET build, I'll use. If I'm building Java, Java you will use. If you are using C, C you will use. That's all the difference, right? If you take any project, irrespective of the code, there are common states: compilation, build, basically, packaging, and deploy. These are the common for any language, right? In between, the securities analysis will come, static code analysis, all those things. Okay, but the steps remain same. Okay, only the package will say. Even that is also very easy here, especially in the Azure DevOps. I'll show you. Okay, you don't assume, if you don't know anything how to build application, all those things will help. Assume you don't know anything. First, what you should do, you should install .NET Core SDK. Install. Into this. Sorry, I opened the wrong one. Whichever is the latest, you go and install it. Download 8.0 is the latest. Download it and install. Okay. Uh, Again, based on your operating system, you please go ahead and download the respective ones. Or if it is a Mac, download the Mac version, Windows, or in case if you are using say Docker, there will be images, right? So you can download machine. Okay. Again, I will go to CD to -12. Some whichever you want. Okay. What we'll do? Mm, create some folder whichever you want. CI demo. I'll say CI demo. First, what we are going to do, we need to create a solution. I have given the steps here. Let me explain what is this first. First, any .NET application, it will start with solution. Okay. There will be C# also. Maybe some config files or some XML files. Many other different files will be there, right? Okay. So we are going to create a solution first. Under the solution, we are going to add the CS projects basically. So we are going to create a solution first, then we will create a project under that. We will be using multiple, you can use multiple projects basically in case if you want. So, but for our scenario, for demo purpose, I'll be using a single project and we'll use that for our entire demo. First, we'll create a solution. What is the command? .NET new solution, and output will be hello world app example. Simple project. Hello world app. I'm just creating a simple solution. Now, if you go to inside this hello world app, you will find a solution here. Dot solution. Now I'm going to create a .NET, a simple project. So what is the command? .NET new. This is all done by development team. Don't worry. Just understand end to end. I'm again explaining. I'm going to new project, which is type of MVC. Any project you can create, whichever you want. Okay. And what is the name of our application? I'll say same, hello world app. And what type of project? Mine is web project. Okay. So my project is getting created. So I'm trying to give the same name basically. So there will be different types of projects basically. So if you want to see what type of .NET new, so these are the different types. It will allow. So basically what I've created, hello world app is the application name, basically a project name which I have created. Now if you see, there will be a folder called this. Okay. Now I'm going to now go and check what to have. I have the basically the basic source code which is required to run a web application. Okay. So there will be, I was telling, right, there will be a CS proj file. There is a CS proj here. So this will have the information of your complete project. Solution is nothing but a combination of multiple projects. Project is nothing but a collection of multiple files. But we have just created, did we created a connection between your solution and project? No. So we will add this project .NET solution add, and what is our project file name? Hello world web, right? Where am I right now? Come out. So that it should be in the solution folder. That's all. Okay. First add the project. I'm adding a project. Which project? Hello world dot web. And what is the CS project? You have to give that CS project will be there. This is the one. Just add it. Now we have added this particular project to the solution. Tomorrow, if I want to add one more project, just create the project and add it like this. Simple. So that in case if there is a dependency for the project to project, assume if you take your Microsoft Office, Word is one project, Outlook is one project. So all together you can build it, add multiple projects like that, and build at one shot instead of building individual thing. Now, before creating our pipeline, let us understand the steps. What happens when you run the build, basically, right? We'll test the project first, whether it is working or not. Okay. So what is the command to build the project? .NET build. Simple. If you give the solution project name, that will be. Right now I have only one. So in the solution directly I'm performing, right? So please observe this because this is important. First, you see here, the first step, it is first step executed is restore, right? And what happens after that? It is taking the NuGet packages and it has generated some objects into this location, DLL. Okay. CI demo. So this is what solution we have created. This is the project we have created. Inside this, you will find, where is my bin? Debug. Right now we generated the debug objects. Let's say I want to generate release objects. I'll show you here. Okay. There is a option called ---- configuration. Okay. Now I will do the release type. Basically, there will be debug build, there will be release build. Okay. It is building release. You see here, as soon as release is done. What is the difference? The debug build will have the debugging symbols, which is basically will be very helpful for the debugging purpose for the developers. In case if there is an error, if they want to debug as a developer, line by line, basically the debugging pointers. So that is very useful for the, sometimes what happens, even the debug test cases will be executed and release test cases will be executed. So that's how the difference. Your release is more lightweight. Okay. So that it will be useful for uh, your DevOps engineers to deploy to the respective environments. So what we have here, these are the applications. Okay. The same application is going to be, we can deploy into multiple environments. It can be a Mac, it can be a Linux, it can be a Windows. There is no issue. So we can deploy, right? Back to, let us run this DLL once. Okay. Here, any web application will have something called www root. Okay. So here, .NET, where is our objects bin? Not there. Bin is not there. Bin is there, right? Bin slash. You can run either debug or release. Anything is fine. And .NET version followed by your DLL, which is the DLL here. DLL. Okay. Just run this. So now it is executing the application. So my web server has started and it is running on this. It is listening on port number 500. Let it run. This is my application. Okay. Clear?
Okay.
So what we have done is understand this, because this is useful for the created solution, right? And created a project, and what I have done, added that project to solution. Then as part of this, what happened? First, what happened? .NET restore will happen, which is the kind of prerequisite. Okay. Then next step will be .NET build what we have done, right? .NET publish, right? Some output to some out location, maybe somewhere, right? This is what happens when you run the build. You can see here. First, what happened here? Restore happened. Then this is building. After that, publish. What is the object? We got the DLL, executable, basically the build object, right? Then we will publish this to different things. If it is Java, npm commands will use, right? If you are using Maven also, it will be very easy. There are 3-4 steps. If you are using Python, py. So based on the language, this instead of .NET, you'll use different. Okay. If you learn one, the steps are going to be same. Okay. There is no change in the steps. Now we have .NET restore, .NET build, .NET publish. Okay. We'll do the publish also. Wait. I'll exit from here. Now I have exited. Okay. Now, what happened? Example. Now, let's say I will go back to D colon. Maybe nothing is there. Out one, out and out one is there. I will create out. Okay. Now I want my objects to be copied into some particular directory. I don't want it to be the default directory of bin, whatever it is. Okay. How to do that? That is nothing but a publish. I will publish it to different location now. Again, .NET command is same. Publish output. Where do you want? Right now I'm in D drive. So let's say out 2. We don't have out 2, right? You can see here. Right? Let me execute this. Done. D colon out 2. You see here, somewhere it will be there. Here. When 29 at 2045. 2045. Right? So now you can find your objects here. Okay. Similarly, you can use the same, whether it is debug or configuration. Let's say either you can use --- configuration, or the shortcut is C. I want to use the release this time. Then whichever you want, you can build that. Clear? If you want to run from here, just execute this. Go to this particular location and execute this example. Okay. CD to whatever it is. Execute that command DLL, whatever the DLL you have. That's all. Okay. Now, what we have done till now, we have created our project locally and we have done the publish also. Now, I want to take this project into my Git repository. Okay. Where is the actual project? Not this one, right? Somewhere else. Actual CI demo. Do you have Git here? I don't have any Git now.
No, Ji. No.
So what we'll do, we will initialize the Git. Okay.
So do we ignore, do we use git ignore here as well? Ji?
Yeah, we have to. Otherwise, unnecessary things will go.
First move to the folder and then git.
We have not yet pushed it, right? So it is okay.
Yeah. No. I'm saying let's move to the folder first and then git initialize first.
No.
We are initiating, right? Init.
We are just initializing, right? Whatever the operation are
Init,
doing, that is
init, init,
local.
init,
So
init.
now initialized. Now you see here, .git is created. Same thing. You have your hooks, everything. This is the local version control system. Local repository has been created now. So now all the changes which right now, before saving it into your local repository, not getting off. Okay. Hope you remember, right? View extensions, search for git ignore. I'll use code zombie one, right? Close this. Just press F1. Add search with add git ignore. Here search with Visual Studio. Visual Studio. And just selecting first one. So it has added. See here, automatically added. So I don't want to write now because this is going to be a real project. I want all the extensions to be part of my .git ignore. Right? Now I want my local repository to track these files and ignore whatever is not mentioned here. Okay. Again, it is a Java developer. Don't worry about it. Just for knowledge purpose. I'm just showing you for the demo purpose. Okay. Now we have created the .git ignore. It's time to stage all the files, right? Let us see first. Status. All will be in red. Now add them. Adding. Right? Now you see the git status. It will be green. All these files are in where now? It is staged. Right?
Yeah, not committed but staged.
Yeah. You will not find bin and obj here because the .git ignore extensions
Ignore.
are taken care. Right? So it is going to apply the same rule every time for any check-in, any transaction, right? So again, remember, don't ever add the bin folder because every time the bin folder will get regenerated. Hundreds of issues you will get basically. Okay. Now git commit -m initial version. Now my git status should give clean. Now I want to push this to my one of my project. So I'll create a new project. Okay. I'll create a new project. I'll try to give the same name. Okay. Here, git version control system. Right now it doesn't matter. Okay, because we are not going to talk. I just selected my version control system as git. Let it create. Now if you go to repo, there are two sections because this is our case. Push an existing repository. Where is my existing repository? In my local, right? Copy this. Okay, if someone else is doing next time who is going to work on my project, they can use this option. Just execute here. Okay. Clear? Now, just refresh it. Okay. Now what we have done, our code has come into your remote
The Azure.
project. You have all the information, whatever it is. You can see the .git, ignore whatever we have. Now what we have done till now, a prerequisite which is required to write a CI pipeline. Right? Now we are ready to create a pipeline. Till now what we have just here, as I told you,
We have added till
connected.
repo in our
Yes,
into repo.
repos. So now we will connect this pipeline into this. Okay, I'll stop it here because that will take some time. The practical session will do it tomorrow, creating a pipeline and linking it to all these things and how to do the continuous integration. Just as soon as if you check in, your website should get refreshed automatically. I don't want to involve anywhere. Okay, I'll talk about that. What are we going to do completely? If you have any doubts, I'll take it for some time. Again, there are different types of pipelines, classic pipeline, AML pipeline. First, what we will do, we will write or we will try the first in classic pipeline. Then we will also try the one project, same project in AML pipeline, how to write AML script. And again, there are different shortcuts or the tips basically, right? Even if you don't know the AML, how to generate the AML code using the basic pipeline. Basic pipeline is nothing, classic pipeline is nothing but just simply drag and drop. Okay. So first generate that and do very simple, don't worry. I'll teach you everything. Okay. So that creating pipeline using these two pipelines, two types of pipelines, we will do it in tomorrow's session. First we'll do it, 1 or 2 sessions will be basic classic pipelines. Then we will convert those into AML pipeline. Okay. If you have any doubts, I'll take it up. Otherwise, see you tomorrow.
Okay. So when we are talking about the agent and triggers,
Hmm.
so agent is like a sink where we need a
System.
platform to
Basically,
yeah, it's a platform
your
or a system where we need to where we can run the integration or delivery, right?
right.
Continuous
Let's
integration.
say
Yeah.
you take your services.msc. Okay. You have your services. Like anyone. There are two things, start type, automatic or manual. Where are these running? This is one service. Take any service. Maybe what will have your
Yeah, all these list of services are to be run on a system.
system. That system is nothing but agent. My laptop is agent now.
Agent, yes.
Where am I
So
running? Let's say I'm creating a make directory here or using a
yes,
.NET or git push I have used.
yes.
Where this command is executing? In some system,
It's on.
right? That
Yes,
system
exactly.
is nothing but agent.
Agent. So so my question is so when we have an agent and we as you told we'll get a trigger to run the CI or CD
Hmm.
from whatever we have created.
Hmm.
So I mean if the trigger is automatic or manual, whatever it is,
Hmm.
it will be depending on the time and dependencies and availability of the code and all these things, right?
Yes, yes. Don't worry, I'll cover all those things.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I'm just curious,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if it,
Yes.
yeah, if it is automatic, then how do we do it, and
Yes,
what are
yes.
the
I'll
things?
I'll 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 show you all those things practically, don't worry.
Okay, okay.
Hmm? Okay. Sure. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.